Hey everybody, happy Wednesday to you. Thanks for joining us today for our next technology workshop. Today is on Clever with our featured presenter, Jen Sauer from Rawlings Middle School. She'll be starting right away at 3 p.m. Just want to go over some housekeeping pieces. If you are logging on to this for the first time, you might think it looks a little bit different than what you normally see with Microsoft Teams meetings, and that's because this is a Microsoft live event. So an event versus a meeting. And in this particular scenario, it's going to help us. If you attended yesterday, you were probably like, what's going on? I can't chat. And that's because, fun fact, everyone, we discovered that you can only have 250 people in a Microsoft Teams meeting. Good problem to have. We had over 250 people trying to get in. That caused a little bit of a problem. And we later discovered only the first 100 have the ability to chat. Another fun fact in a Microsoft team meeting. So now we are moving over to a Microsoft Live event. If you're curious how you can host your own, check out our Microsoft Teams workshops that will be happening next week. But in this particular setting, you won't be able to hear your audio. You won't be able to ask questions. We won't have to worry about muting people, kind of the beauty of that. This is very similar to a YouTube Live or a Facebook Live experience. What you will be able to do is utilize the Q&A, the question and answer. And if you're hovering over your screen, you should see the little icon that shows a talking bubble with a question mark. And if you select that, that's where you can enter questions. If you don't see your questions visible, don't worry. That's because your questions go to our meeting facilitators who are moderating this, the behind the scenes of this workshop today. And they're there to help answer questions or have them ready for our featured presenter. And then we will publish those out so everyone can see them. So anyway, we're excited to offer you this session on Clever. The first 15 to 20 minutes, Jen Sauer is going to give you all the facts about Clever. Be ready with your questions. So if you have anything after, we can have some Q&A after the fact, and she can dive into some other things in the event she doesn't cover it all. So the last thing I want to remind you about is credit. I know lots of you are here to get the information, but you also want to know, how do I get some renewal and tech credit? And we take care of that for you all behind the scenes. You don't need to register in ERO. Our ITS team is on hand, and after this session today, they'll be working hard to get everything into ERO, so you get a half hour of credit for each one of these you participate in. And on top of that, one lucky attendee today is going to win a $10 gift certificate to Amazon. We had a winner yesterday. Congrats to her. So, of course, we are going to have that again today. And another fun thing, we got a sponsor today, everyone, from Canty Technologies. And they said for every person that attends a session on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 3 days of the week, on Friday, they're giving away a $25 gift card. So nowhere to sign in, nothing that you have to do. Every time someone registers and logs in, we've already got your name recorded. It gives us a beautiful report and tells us everybody who's here. It even tells us the type of device you're on. It tells me if you logged out and logged back in. It tells me if you only stayed for 10 minutes versus the full 30-minute time. So get ready to have some fun. We're excited to have our featured presenter, Jen Sauer, here with us today. If you missed any of this, come back. It's going to be recorded. You can watch it again and again. So let's get clever with Jen Sauer.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to jump right into it because there's a good bit to cover in our 15 minutes. Clever is basically a dashboard for students to have access to all the platforms, apps, and websites that teachers and schools want available. If you've used Symbaloo in the past, it's a similar idea. It can also be thought of as a collection of favorites or bookmarks that you might have gotten used to putting in a browser. But Clever organizes them for students in a manageable way and prevents the need for learning or writing down lots of usernames and passwords. So the very beginning, how do we even get into Clever? By now, I hope everyone knows how, but I'm going to pretend that you don't. At school, the desktops have a Clever icon, and students have gotten used to just clicking that. The new student devices will likely have one on their desktop as well. But if a student is using a personal device, like they all are doing right now, they should enter Clever from the popular links section of their school's website. So I'm just going to scroll down here. Most every school has Clever somewhere in the popular links, and I'm going to be one of my teachers today so that we can get a look at what a teacher page looks like. So logging into Clever, we always choose Active Directory. It says, welcome back, Amber. That's not me, but my friend Mrs. Moody lets me use her page when I need to get in there and play. So let's just get an orientation very quickly about this particular page. These are called tabs, and we're starting on the Homeroom tab. This is Miss Moody's teacher class page. She has just one. She could choose to have a class page for every class, or maybe she could have a class page for her gifted kids and one for her gen ed classes, but for Miss Moody it was easier to just put them all in one class. So how did she do that? Right here on this cog you have edit sharing. When you click that, you can choose who gets to see a particular page. And I'm not going to mess with Miss Moody's settings. You might also notice that there is a picture that looks more like a person, where these other ones are characters. You can personalize your page as well by uploading an icon that you have made yourself. Again, I'm not going to mess with Miss Moody's page. All right, let's talk about how we put content on a class page. Miss Moody has just a few things, only 6 resources that she shares with her students routinely. This one is an app, I can tell by the shape, and it's got this little district seal of approval on it. And this one is a link. We'll talk about the difference and how we add those. I don't want to add them on the page that her students actually see because I know some of her kids are on it. So I'm going to go back to my homeroom tab and I'm going to practice on the Just You page. This is the page where if you want to vet some resources, which we can see has been done here, only you can see them so you can play with them. And I'm going to use this as our sandbox right now. To add something to a Clever page, you simply click Add. Down here, your options are an app, a link, or a whole new category. The categories are newly added and My Class Resources on this particular page. So I want to start by adding an app. I can begin typing the name, and I'm going to use quizzes for a reason. I did it because I want you to see we have 2 different ones here. We have one that the district has put its stamp of approval on, and then the regular app. If I choose to add this one to her page, and I'll go ahead and do that, it says it was just added. When her students click on it, they're going to be automatically logged in. Some of them, if they don't have your district seal of approval, the kiddos might have to type in some of their credentials, such as if you have ever heard of Gizmos, Explore Learning. This one's going to log those kids right in. Let's look at how to use a link. So I found one today that I thought would be a good one for Mrs. Moody to use for her kids. I found it on the internet and it was called Hippocampus. You probably saw I already added it, but I'm going to show you how to do that. Hippocampus, I located it on the South Carolina Department of Education's website where they have created some resources or links to resources for those of us engaged in remote learning, which we learned today is all of us. So Hippocampus looks cool. It's got algebra, it's got geometry. So she wants to use this for her students. Having an icon helps kids better recognize what the app is going to be about. So I love the snip tool. I'm going to use it. And I'm going to create just a real quick icon of a hippo. I'm going to save that. Let's just make it easy for me to find and put it on my desktop, and I'm going to call it Hippo. Super easy. Yep, replacing it. But the most important part, if I don't want an icon, I definitely have to have the URL. So I have highlighted that. I'm going to use Control-C to copy, and I'm going to come back over here and Control-V, Hippocampus. It needs a name. And it's newly added, so I'll leave that, and I'm going to upload that hippo icon. We said desktop, being very slow, and there's my hippo. And I'm going to add the link. And now students can click on it, and if it was on her regular page, and access Hippocampus. So again, to add a link or an app, you would simply go right here. So let's go back to homeroom. We have done Miss Moody's page. We've looked at the Just You page. District resources, there are many on here, far too many for us to look at today. Today, we're just focusing on how you navigate and use this page to your advantage. So let's check out the library. This is where you can come to either search for something by name or browse. So I'm going to show you quickly how to browse. Let's use English, for example. We will do grades 3 through 5. And Duolingo. I'm just going to check out what this one is. When I look at Duolingo, I can see the district has recommended this. So that might be an easy app for me to quickly add to my page. But what I want you to note when you are looking in the library are the details right here. Look where it says pricing. There are 3 types of pricing levels. Free, of course, is the best. Premium means you have to pay for it, and there is something called freemium. And freemium means you get a small portion of the platform for free, but you can pay to upgrade. So if I wanted to add this to Miss Moody's page, I would click Install, and I would be asked, is it okay if I allow them to create classes for all of Miss Moody's students? And it will, and organize within Duolingo, her first period, second period, and everything, and make it easy for students to get to from her page. But since a 3rd grade English app is not what needs to be on her page, I'm not going to add it. Let's look at analytics. Analytics was recently added. There's some people who feel like it's not exactly accurate, but it's better than what we had before. This tells Mrs. Moody that she has had 86 of her students active in the last 2 days and 18 who have done nothing in the last 7 days. But we've been on spring break, so that probably explains it. And if you click this or click this, it will group the children by green or showing first, and that would put the red at the end. All right, and then finally, these are our tiles for classes. If I click each one, we will see the rosters of Mrs. Moody's class. That's not really what I want to show you that I find the most cool about this particular section. It's this launch an app. I really think this is great. Now, while we're on distance learning or e-learning, that's not going to be terribly useful, but when we go back to school next year, that's going to be a cool feature. If you've ever been in the computer lab and you've given your kids this list of instructions, go to this place, click here, get there, we're all trying to get to one particular app, you know it can eat up several minutes of your class period. So in this case, I love this because all you have to do is tell the children to open their laptops and log into Clever, and you can push the app that you want them to work on to everybody's page all at one time. Now I'm going to show you what that looks like in this little video I made. I put Miss Moody on this side and one of her students on the other. She's logged into a particular class period by using that button that said launch an app. She's clicked discovery, and a few seconds later, over here on this young lady's screen, she has been logged in to Discovery. I'm going to show that to you one more time because I know it went very quickly. One more time, she's in a particular class. We clicked launch an app. This is the student page. Miss Moody will click launch this particular app. She's told it's occurring, and over here, the student has been logged in automatically. The whole class now is on the same page as Mrs. Moody. I think that can save us many instructional minutes when we are back in the classroom next year. Notice it also has log the class out. So that's a good thing to use at the end of a class period. It's time to pack up, children. Let's put everything in our book bags, and you still have a couple of kids who are messing around instead of following directions. Well, we can simply just log everybody out of Clever just like that, and they are forced to move on as the instructions were given. All right, so let's look and see what this looks like from a student's perspective. And I'm going to switch to this one. Let me log in as one of my kiddos really fast. Thank you for your patience as we move through these screens. Okay, sorry about that. this was pre-recorded, I would have cut that part out. Now I wanted you to see this because the student pages are organized slightly differently than teacher pages. Here, this particular student has put a little heart on apps that were from all through this list are the ones that she wants to be able to get to frequently. Teachers can put little favorites on there to set up their own page as well. So this tells you which things that this child uses more often. She goes to Microsoft Office, to Unified Classroom, into Algebra Nation. To make something a favorite, let's just say she wants to make this a favorite. She just clicks right there, and now it's showing up in her favorite section. I'm going to unfavorite that so that when she logs on, she doesn't wonder what in the world was happening in her account. All right, teacher pages are right here. Each teacher has put different links within their page. Let's look at Miss Moody's page again, since we kind of have a clue what that's about. And these are one of the links that Miss Moody added. Maybe you have lots of information you want to share with your children, but Clever is not the place to do that. Clever is the place to put a link to that information. So Mrs. Moody has linked to her OneNote that she has been using for her children for a couple of years now. So one single OneNote that she created that works for her kiddos, as soon as it loads, sorry. All of her Algebra 1 kiddos click here, and her Math 8 kiddos click here. Slow page load, thank you. And you can see all the way back to August with all of her lessons. You can see on April 6th, the week before spring break, she was telling them that we were having a Teams live meeting, what time to be there. So her kids can get lots of extra information simply because she used the link option here in Clever. It's a great way to get them to wherever you are storing your other information, your notes, whatever you want to upload. All right, DD2 instructional programs. This might look different if you were to have logged on as, say, a second grader, because the programs are different in second grade than they are for this particular 8th grader. I'm going to scroll down to the supplements. Every school can set up different things within their supplement section that can help with school programs. For example, this page right here takes my students to videos that I've made specifically for students. How to do a header and footer, how to set page numbers, how to double space, the things that they don't necessarily know how to do, but my teachers want them to know. Here, they can click right here and be taken directly to our yearbook order, the 8th grade signature page, our counselor page, the media center. This is several things that were appropriate for the 8th grade students. This shirt will not show up on any other kids page, just 8th graders. So I'm going to quickly show you what it would look like if you could see all of them. This is my page as the school level administrator. You see I have a couple of different things here that I wanted to show you because if there are any administrators out there, this is something that you can do with Clever at your school. Right here where it says 8th grade State Department survey. Well, I set that up as soon as we got the link. I wanted my kids to be able to go in, just 8th graders, and click that and be able to take the State Department survey. I had one for teachers too, but that has since been deleted. I left this one here so I could show it to you. When I go to customize my portal, remember, you can't do this, only those on your site who have administrative rights, but you could ask your admin, hey, is this something we can add? Right here in visibility, as soon as I knew we were going on break, I hid this for the whole rest of the school year, leaving it in case I had an option to go back in and turn it back on if we ever should need it. So you can have your site administrator put links on here that will turn on a specific date, turn off on a specific date. Here are my benchmark supplements. I turn those on only during benchmark, and the kiddos can click there and get straight to the audio files. This faculty handbook, if I look here for visibility, no, I'm sorry, if I look here for edit, you can see that I put it only on teachers' pages. So this platform can be used for school-specific things also, not just teacher pages and student pages. This has been, since the kids are getting used to going to it, this has been a really good thing for them to figure out how to get to stuff other than just their classes. Okay, I talked like an auctioneer, but my 15 minutes are up and I covered all of the big points that I wanted you to be able to see. So we have teacher access, we have student pages, and schools can supplement in their own section and add things that are important to their school. All right, at this time, I am going to ask the other people who are moderating, are there any questions that we need to cover?
So we've had a lot of questions come through the Q&A. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Patrick Dunn. If you were here yesterday, you remember me. We have a bunch of them published in there that most of them have already been answered. We do have a couple that are just coming in, but if you have any questions, now's the perfect time. Find the Q&A, post your question. You can do it anonymous. You can include your name. It doesn't matter to us either way. One question I noticed right now, are we able to push out an app to one student directly? I'm not 100% sure on that. Do you have an answer to that?
I have not found where we can adjust for one student or even give, for example, like the guidance counselors or the library their own page. That's because this is attached strictly to what is in PowerSchool. So I don't think we're going to have that option.
Okay, and you've got a little more experience with the analytics than I have. Does it show students' use across all of Clever, or is it only that teacher specific?
Good question. It is just, did they log into Clever? So that's what, I mean, it's new. We used to have no information, but at least we can say when we're talking to the State Department or the district office, we know this number of children have at least been exposed to the content we're trying to offer them.
Okay, let's see. If we have any more questions in there. Is there a feature with two-way communication with students? I don't believe there is a chat, is there?
There is no chat because this is not meant to be a communication portal in that way. We have to think of this as a page just filled with shortcut links. That's all it's really meant to be, is to drive traffic from this to where a teacher wants a student to go.
Okay, I see there. Our Q&A people are starting to publish here. Would you be able to add surveys if we do not have a school-based ITS? Or who would be able to add surveys? I don't know that.
Sorry.
I was going to say, I don't know that we have a plan exactly for that yet of what's going to happen, but there would be somebody you'd be able to contact and add things in there, definitely.
And we have done that at Rawlings school-based surveys, and it has worked very well because the kids, again, have been trained. I did see somewhere information about IGPs. Someone just asked that question. We did have that link on just our 8th graders page so that it showed up and they could click that link to learn everything that parents needed to know about IGPs. So that's an easy way to get information out that is grade specific.
Okay, why do we need Clever if we have Teams?
Teams and Clever are not the same thing. Again, Clever is just a bunch of shortcuts. You click here because I want you to go do something at Discovery. You click here because I want you to do something in my OneNote. You click here because I want you to see your grades in Unified Classroom. Teams allows actual communication, such as the meetings we're doing right now, chatting within a meeting, pushing an assignment out to a student, and writing feedback specifically to a child. Those grades can go straight into Unified Classroom. Clever is a collection of shortcuts to point people where we want them to go at a particular time.
And just to piggyback on that, not only are they shortcuts, but it also allows the single sign-on experience. So even if I were to take those same shortcuts, yep, nope. So that's a good one. And you could absolutely, I see the person who's asking that, you could have put all those shortcuts in Teams and just had a list of websites, and that would have been fine. But what makes this special and unique is that we're able to have students log into Clever from any device, whether they're at school, at home, on an iPad, personal device. And because of that login, it will allow them to get into programs without having to log in with more additional unique login credentials, keeping in mind that not every app is designed that way, but our core apps and programs we have are.
And for those of you who used it this year and used it well, you know that was a huge benefit to be able to go into the lab and just have kids click a button as opposed to turning in their agenda to find their Algebra Nation credentials or their Edmentum credentials, their Apex credentials. This cut out a lot of that and saved time in classrooms.
Okay, see, we have a question. They love the idea of linking to OneNote. and the moderator just replied, but yes, we have a number of these lined up. We focused on Microsoft Teams, you know, and the clever things that students are using now, but OneNote is definitely one of our live PDs that we're hoping to do before the end of the year. Let's see here. Is Flipgrid an app that can be added? Yes, you can add a link to it, but not the actual app connection. And someone did point out SCOAS is available. That is true, and that's a very helpful link. And actually with SCOAS, I'll add it does automatically log the students in. It is one of those single sign-ons that Shelly and Jen were just talking about. So they click SCOAS. They do have to link their account the first time they do it, but honestly, that should pretty much be done for all students who had counselors do SCOAS with them this year. So next year they click SCOAS and it'll log them straight into their account from last year.
Perhaps do we have any attendees who want to share something that how a way they've used Clever that we haven't mentioned? Or if we have an ITS co-presenter that wants to share a way that they've also seen Clever used, we haven't shared.
I do have one question. Will we be able to watch these PDs again? So yesterday we did our DD2 online live, our DD2 online PD teams training. So there is a DD2 online PD team you can join. That's where we're posting all these videos and links to these live events. So if you join there, you can easily just in the general tab scroll through and see all of these events. Yes. Can no red ink be added as an app connection? I think it can be added as a link. I'm not, Jen, are you familiar with that?
I just started typing it in the search engine at the library and it shows up as one of the resources. It's not one that looks like it's easy single sign on, but they can click it and add it into their page.
Right, it will not, that particular one won't let you do a single sign on. The company makes you do a purchase of that one in order to have a connection with rostering. So we've actually looked into that one because we know it is popular, but it does require the full subscription.
So we have a question. As a facilitator and not able to log into things such as SAM through Clever, just because I do not have a class, the teacher single sign-on works differently than the students for a lot of these apps. So we really want the students to be able to use that. But yeah, if you're a facilitator and you do not have a class, there will be no way for you to share any links or pages with students unless it's through the school. Correct, Jen?
Yes, if you are not assigned a section of children in PowerSchool, then you cannot push information to children. You will not have a class.
And just to piggyback on that, I noticed that as the facilitator, they're trying to get into SAM or programs that they manage as an administrator. So if you are trying to manage programs as an administrator, you usually have to go to that program itself, not in a single sign-on way. So if you are an administrator in ITS, if you are a facilitator, sometimes media specialist, you are a little bit different than the classroom teacher as far as your rights and your role. And she's absolutely right about the rostering part. This Clever is perfect for a student and it is perfect for a classroom teacher. The functionality is intended for that main group of people. But others, like a facilitator, myself, an administrator, we can kind of take advantage because it becomes our favorites, our bookmarks, things like that.
Jen, did you go over, I don't remember to be honest, and I apologize. Did you go over teacher pages, how they can create separate pages and have different classes? So like my wife is a high school teacher, so she has an Algebra 1 page. She has a geometry page because they're different links and things like that. So she has separate pages for different groups and adds her different classes to those pages.
I only started at the beginning with saying Ms. Moody chose to use one, but you could use multiple pages if you wanted to.
So I know, yeah, like I know high school, that's a great help there. If you're teaching 2 or 3 subjects, you can just create 2 pages and have links for each class.
Are you still sharing my screen?
Yes, they can all see your screen.
Okay, so let me go back to Ms. Moody. Maybe I'm going to go back to Ms. Moody. Let's see. I'll show you where that is. Okay, from your homeroom screen, we have just the 3 pages she has here. If you click add, you can create a whole new page. And that way you could do one for, if you taught science, you could do all your science classes on that page. If you did math for a couple of classes, you could do all your math on a separate page.
Very good. We have a question. How do you post information about a class chat session? So I think they mean like a Teams meeting.
I think they do mean that, and I can't get to, Ms. Moody has taken it down, but one of the things that we have done before at our school is if you're going to have a meeting, an icon that looks like the headphones that people wear with a little microphone is put right here, and the title of the link is 10:30 Tuesday, and then the link to the meeting is put right here on the Clever page. When I did that, as soon as we first went on to distance learning, hundreds of kids were showing up for the intro on how to use Teams, and all I did was post it right in Clever. They're so used to using Clever that they knew that was an easy way to get to something. And then the link was removed as soon as the meeting was over.
Good. There are apps that require Gmail accounts to sign in. What to do about those? And also Duolingo has Duolingo for schools. How do I know which apps are district approved?
The district approved apps have I'm trying to see if there's any showing up on this thing right here. They tend to have a little district symbol underneath them. I know I saw them. Oh, here we go. Right here. If it doesn't have that, that does not mean you cannot use it, because Quizzes is available. This particular one, I know there's a Quizzes with district on it, but you can put anything you want on here that you feel is useful for your children. The district stamp will just make it a little bit easier for you to do the single sign-on. Go to the library. There's thousands of things in this library, and search through to find something that works for you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Next question. Is there a way for me to see information on Clever pages of other teachers my students have for a class?
No, you don't have access to other teachers. I've not seen where we can make that work, because again, it's tied to who the students are in PowerSchool, who the students have as a teacher in PowerSchool. So unless there's like 2 teachers assigned to a class, I don't see how they can see them. If anybody else has seen that out there, any of the co-presenters, and I've spoken incorrectly, please let me know. But I think it's just whoever you're attached to in PowerSchool.
I think they can be added as a co-teacher, but we can follow up on that one and confirm.
Thank you.
Are there apps specific for high school and AP classes? They would just have to look through the library and find whatever app you might be looking for, whatever's good in there. There is a way to search by clicking through the library, right? So instead of just searching for a name.
Yes, you can browse by coming down here by subject and by grade level.
Okay, and then we got a question, brand new teacher, when you create a Clever page, how do my students join?
Because they are attached to you already, I'm going to make a page, and hopefully Miss Moody won't be cranky with me. We've got a new page. It's just called A Moody's page. Right here, I click Edit Student Sharing, and I can choose to pick which class I would like to share it with. And so I do the least bit of confusion for any children who might be logged into Ms. Moody right now. I am just going to share that with her homeroom. So now her homeroom students just populated, and they have access to this page. It's because they are already tied to her in PowerSchool.
So here's a good question. Can I attach PDFs or other Word documents or things like that in Clever?
Again, this is not a place where we do any file sharing. We're doing links to something else. So if you had that PDF or you had that file in your OneDrive, you could put a link to it here in Clever, but not the actual document. Anything else?
I don't see any new questions coming in. Oh, here's one. if the SysOp creates an advisory class and puts our kids in it and links them to us, they would be removed from their grade level and only have access to the Clever advisory page.
I don't understand that question. It looks like Marie Connolly gets it and she's answering it.
Yeah, it sounds like if the SysOp creates an advisory class, it would just create, you would just have access to those students in the advisory, I believe. You wouldn't, they'd still have access to their other teachers' pages.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct. Yes. They would not be removed from the other classes. They would just, it would be in addition to what they already have.
Okay, so we have a counselor asked if they have a class with students on the schedule, does that mean you can create a class? I believe so. So if you log into Clever, they should be able to click classes and see that class.
If you exist in Power School and children are attached to you in Power School, then you would have a class in Clever.
So we had a question about Pearson Realize, the online textbook. I'm assuming that's for science and getting it added to Clever. That connection, Shelley can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's through Power School. We can't link it through Clever. It has to be linked through Power School. It's just the way Pearson does it.
That's correct.
Yep, let's see. Most of those questions now we're getting are about Pearson Realize.
Can I show an example of posting a link from a document? Give me a second and I can see. If you want to answer other questions while I pull that up, I will do that very quickly.
The problem, wait, another question about Pearson. The problem with adding a link through Clever is there's a single sign-on through Power School. So if we put a link on Clever, it would ask for the students to log in again somewhere else. They have to go to Power School and click on the link in Power School to get access. There's no other way to add that link. Sorry.
I have a lot of windows open, so it's taking a little bit. I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. I think, so I see a question about how do we get students removed from their grade level Clever class. I know some schools, what they do is they have lunches by grade level. So if there is a lunch class that is your entire 6th, 7th, or 8th grade level in Power School, it's going to show up in Clever. As long as nobody is assigned as a teacher there and never creates a class page, the students shouldn't see anything there. But if it's in Power School, it's going to be made in Clever. That connection will be.
All right, I'm going to show you how to do a link to a document that you might have in your OneDrive. So let's say, for example, I want to put the supply list, the beginning of August, in the Rawlings section. So I come to the supply list. This is last year's, and I'm going to choose to share. I don't want anyone to edit it. I only want them to view it. So it's properly set for that right now. I can copy the link. And then I'm going to go to my Clever page. This is the Rawlings page that I have rights to do that to. And I'm going to add a link. Same process for a teacher. Add a link. I put the URL here. I call it supply list. And I'll just click that icon. It's going to go to students, it's going to go to teachers, it's going to go in all grades, and I add the link. So now anybody who is live in the Rawlings, as soon as I press publish, they now see last year's supply list. So I'm going to take that off, but that's how I did it. I first pulled my link and copied it. Then I went to Clever, whether I'm a teacher or, like I can even do it on Miss Moody's page. Let's go ahead and do it on Miss Moody's page so you see it again. Link. Paste my URL, supply list, and I can add it. And now whenever anybody clicks that, it will take them to the supply list that is in my OneDrive. Anything that is not an application that's already in here or one that we subscribe to, you would have to put a link. I hope that answered that.
I believe it did.
I'm going to delete that so my people don't think it's real or current. Okay.
Do you mind if I address this next question about the media specialist and classes?
I don't see that question, so certainly.
Okay. All right, so there's a media specialist. Of course, they don't have rosters at an elementary school level or maybe at other levels, and so they want to know, can they get Power School, linking their students? Really, what we ended up doing recently was giving all of our media specialists the same type of school tech lead role that ITS have. So media specialist, if you're ready to do some more PD, you can do the school tech lead, and you can see how you too can add information so that you can address that for all students. Just like in ITS today, if they wanted to push out something, they could push it out to all students. They could just do it to 5th grade. They could just do it to a particular class. So we have now given media specialists that same ability as well. They haven't necessarily received that training. However, I'm going to tell them a little bit about becoming a Clever champion and how they can do that as we close up, since we're a little bit over time. I'm just going to check in with our featured presenter. Did a wonderful job, Jen Sauer. Anything else you want to add today?
Nope, just thank you. And I'm glad everybody came out to learn some more about Clever today.
Awesome. I know people might have some extra questions, so keep them coming. You can continue asking those questions. Our moderators will keep answering those. I do want to announce who our winner is, though, today of the $10 gift card. We randomly have selected a name, and the winner is from Windsor Hill Elementary School, and it's Mary Jones. Congratulations to you. So want to make sure that you know that you are our winner. We appreciate you participating. Tomorrow we have another session. Tomorrow is going to be on OneDrive. So you might be saying to yourself, I know about OneDrive. I've been doing that a long time. Now's a great time, guys. You've got your laptops in front of you. You've probably been saying, gee, I really need to clean this up, organize my files, back the stuff up. And so tomorrow's your day to kind of say, how do I do this? What's an easy way to kind of sync my files so they're constantly being backed up? And I want you to be sure that you are aware that every staff member, every student gets 5 full downloads of complete Microsoft Office on even your personal computers. So if you are a teacher and you've got another device at home, you've got a kid going to college, you've got these things, you have 5 free full installations of Microsoft Office at your fingertips. You're going to see how you get access to that if you weren't aware. And of course, students have that full installation. Remember back in the day, these things used to cost hundreds of dollars. You have them now. You're going to find out more tomorrow from our featured presenter. I think it's Jen Fairburn is with us tomorrow to be our featured presenter, and we'll be doing the same thing again. So again, appreciation to Jen Sauer for doing our first live event meeting. That was excellent. Thank you to Patrick Dunn for being our producer, and of course to our ITS team for being our moderators behind the scenes answering these questions. If you want more on Clever, here's our final commercial. Be a Clever champion. If you haven't already joined the DD2 Online PD Microsoft team, get there and do that. There's Clever Champion session that's sitting there. They'll give you 4 hours of renewal and technology credit. If you're like, well, I already sat in the session, will I get more credit? I've already done it when I was in school and got PD session time for it then. Yes, bonus PD, friends, bonus PD time if you need it. Tech and renewal, 4 hours. You can get Clever certified and get that added. So if you are in a particular role, maybe you're the school lead tech, maybe you're an administrator, maybe you're the classroom teacher, all of that Clever Champion stuff is there for you to access. Jen, do you mind closing us out? Can you bring up your screen one more time and just show them how they can access the Clever Academy? Of course, they should go to DD2 Online PD to get all of the information of how to access it. It is listed there, but if we could bring Jen's screen, or maybe we can't, you can tell me no, you're throwing you on this one. There we go.
She's coming up now.
Perfect. So if you're not sure how to get to that, you get back to your dashboard. Typically, when you're click on that piece, let's see, looking for the Clever Academy is usually there. Are we in the portal and we need to double click on the dashboard maybe? Over at the top, I'm thinking. Or,
I have it on my screen. Learn more about Clever Academy. Do not see my screen.
I don't think I'm seeing that particular part. Maybe.
All right, let me try and pick a new screen. Try that again. And this is what, how about that? Better?
Yes, it is actually. Thank you. Got a little nervous there. That is perfect. So right there, learn more about Clever. It's right there, Clever Academy. If you select that, that's the best place to go. You can start completing all of your workshops right through there. There's great video tutorials and it tells you exactly what to do. So teacher, school admin, you click there and that's how you get through and you can start learning more about Clever. So if it wasn't enough for you today, you can go and get more. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Remember, you don't have to register an ERO. You don't have to sign any fancy papers. It's all digital. We got you covered and you're going to end up getting your half credit. And again, congratulations to Mary from Windsor Hill Elementary School.